Start streaming. All right, I think we're back. We are back. Let me go ahead and put this out to everybody. Let me go ahead and get this. Let's see here on X. We did get taken down for a minute, but I didn't think that they would get us like that. But it's okay. No big deal. That kind of stuff happens. No. Yeah. All right, I just posted it for everybody to see. Okay, so we're good. Bro, I know Professor Grass is. He's telling me what's up. It was with the. We got struck down. You know, for some reason, I thought Space King, since it was on YouTube, I thought they would be okay if we had it playing it or whatever. We were talking about it, but I guess not. So yeah, Professor Grass. That's why I need to do Rumble. We were 100% right. Anyway. Back to what we were talking about. Space King is an awesome cartoon, and hey, I don't mind if they don't want people watching it, or you know, I'm sure they want to make money on their own stuff, so I got no problem with that. But it was funny because it's all about how like you know, teenage boys behave, and you could kind of get that vibe initially. Now, I guess I could play it without the audio, but then you wouldn't get all the jokes and all that good stuff. But you know, it's a great show, and I got all the link to it. Flash gets down in the description, so you know, go watch some of that. But what are your thoughts? That was the third episode. It wasn't the pilot, and what had happened was it just when we were talking, it was running in the background, and it ran to the third one. That's why I was confused. I was like, this isn't the pilot. Yeah. 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 Oh, really? Yeah. Uh, Bro, they're great mechanics. I love the fact that they kept the mechanics in there. And the very first episode, do you remember that alien with the huge boobs? You know, the big tits? With the laser beams that shoot out of the tits? I love that one. I was like, whoa. Bro, that's such a guy idea. When like the tits are terrible, you're just like, oh my god, but I have to look, you know? Yeah. And so that was that, bro. That got me when I first saw that in the pilot. I was like, okay, this is hilarious. I gotta watch this show. And you know, and that's why I love the cartoons. All those provocative cartoons, like the cartoons that you make. I remember you did that cartoon about Batman. That was. Do you remember that one that you did? It was on the intro with. No, the one with Professor Gordon. I mean, Commissioner Gordon. When he's is that the one that he scolds him? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, here I'll see if I can find it real quick. I have all your cartoons that I downloaded. But yeah, that one was great. I absolutely love that one about the Batman. Let's see if I can find it. But I love your provocative cartoons. You're fantastic at them. Yeah. Oh, here it is right here. This one right here. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can. There it is, right there. I don't know if you can. Right, I know. But it's the one with Commissioner Gordon, and it's the one where he says, let me see if I can zoom in on this and read it. It's the one where he says, me see here. Where is it? Here it is, right here. It's the one he says, "Yo, Batman, if you want to help Gotham stop beating people up and start giving them some more money." And then Batman says, "So like they do in the real world cities like L.A. and Chicago." And I thought that was a really great one. And yeah, I love the political commentary that you make and the societal commentary. And it's kind of like the only weapons that we have to fight against it in society, right? Yeah.
Can't hear Ibai.
They wouldn't stand a chance because their
Okay.
ideas are stupid, and history and practice has proven so. Like no
Ah.
one can tell you with a straight face, we need communism because communism is no, bro. Communism is a fucking disaster. Look at
Yeah. It
communist countries. Like
it is a disaster, and they don't make any good art. And
that's one of the things I like to ask them. Like when they say, "Well, I really like the system in Cuba. I really like the system they had in the Soviet Union." I'm always like, "Really? Tell me what's your favorite Cuban cartoon? Tell me what your favorite Russian comic book is."
yes,
You know, they don't produce anything that you want. You
right.
just like the idea. You just like the concept of the Soviet Union. You like the idea of Cuba, but you wouldn't like to live there
No,
because
no,
first of
no.
all, you would starve. Second, you get that bored out of your fucking mind because
Yeah,
they got no Netflix over there.
yeah.
Okay, Netflix is it's an American capitalist invention.
Yes. Yeah, and also I've been to China and I've been to the different cities in China. I've been to Shanghai. And you can see how they build their cities. They build them in rings, and each ring is a different like decade, and they copy a different type of buildings. And so sometimes they copy like European buildings, sometimes they copy old Chinese buildings, sometimes they copy Russian buildings. But depending on which part of the city you're in, it's they just copy. They don't have any culture of their own, and it's all like a mishmash of weird ideas, and it's all falling apart. And there's no interior beauty that comes forth.
Yeah, I have a weird relationship with China. I'm not really familiar about what's going on there, but it's apparently like a national socialist technocracy, right? From
Yeah,
what I've seen, like everything is like they're basically Hitler's wet dream
yeah,
because the Han ethnicity, like the pure Chinese, are like the ones on top, and then the rest are like lower classes, lower castes,
yeah.
and they all live like cramped apartments, and there's like sure there's people who live okay lives, but there's a lot of people who live like fucking slums,
No, the
or
majority
like
of
really
Yeah, the majority of people make less than $200 a month. Like it's crazy. They live in absolute poverty. There's only 5 cities that are really nice, and they show those cities all the time. And then
right.
that's a very very small percentage of China. And also, you're right. The Han Chinese are the ones that are trying to get a pure blood of the Han Chinese, and they oppress the Uyghurs and the Mongols and the people in the north. And not only that, but the culture and the society of the true historical Chinese people has left China, and it's now in Taiwan. It escaped to Taiwan back in the 40s when Mao came to power.
Right. Yeah, because Mao, well, I think I mentioned before what he did to the Tibetans. Like when Mao came to power, that was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how anyone can look at that period in Chinese history and go, yeah, this is a good idea. Like
Yeah.
he he moved up north to Tibet and he killed 1 million people of Tibetans.
Yeah.
The only thing they wanted to do was like meditate and work the land. They
Yeah.
were like mountain people who just like sit on their asses thinking about the universe all day. Like they pose no threat.
Yeah.
And still this guy like killed 1 million of them. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
how can you
And
look at that and say that was a good idea?
Yeah, and not only that, but in the 90s, they made a train track all the way to Tibet, and they flooded it with Han Chinese people to try to dilute the
Hmm.
genetics of the Tibetan people. And the Tibetan people have a fantastic culture. They created beautiful temples, all kinds of stuff. And it was basically a genetic war against the Tibetan people. And nobody said anything. Like, where was the UN? Where is everybody?
The Russians did the same thing to the Mongols and the Siberians. They actually shipped a lot of ethnically Russian people to like the steppes and the north of China, and they tried to like demographically wipe out the natives.
Yeah, so I
So
don't really.
why do we never hear about that? When we hear about like, oh, my American, my European colonists wipe out the Native Americans. Yeah, what about the Russians wiping out the native Siberians, native Mongols?
That's
Why do
right.
we never hear about that?
Yeah, the Russians or the Chinese. How come nobody's ever, protesting against them? How come nobody's protesting against the, if you remember, they used to have the gulags in Russia, and a fantastic writer, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he came out of the gulags. Yeah, and he wrote about all of it. And how much oppression, and also there was a big genocide in the Ukraine around those time
Yes,
that time where they starved.
the Holodomor, which is like
Yeah,
the even darker twin of the Holocaust, by which I'm not entirely sure what happened, but apparently Ukraine has always been like a more rebellious area of the Soviet countries. So they basically the Russians basically locked them up, locked them down, and closed the faucet, so to speak, as in Spanish, and starved them to death.
starved them to death, man. Starved them to death, bro.
4 million
Terrible.
people start to death. Like,
Yeah, and
how can
not.
anyone look at that and say, yeah, that's a good idea. I want that in my country. How the fuck, you know?
Yeah, 100%, and also you have the Armenian genocide with was
Yes.
the Young Turks,
Hmm.
which is never discussed either. So there's a lot of things. Why do we only focus on these specific points that are counter to Western culture? Well, it's obviously to destroy
Because
Western culture.
because they're trying to exploit your innate Judeo-Christian how do you call that?
Empathy.
Yeah, I was gonna say your Christian guilt, because Christians are like they're really into guilt, like the original sin. But
Yeah.
so they're trying to they realize that shit works. Like the church has been controlling people with the idea of original sin for ages. So we want to do the same. The church will tell you you're guilty because of how you were born, so you gotta pray a lot and give us all your money. The left will tell you you're guilty because of how you were born, because your great grandfather killed the Indians and had like a plantation, so you have to like pray to us and give us all of your money. It's the same shit.
Yeah, 100%. And they really focus on that guilt. And, they shape Western culture with it, with that guilt or with those empathy traps, to trap you, to make you feel like you owe other people something, that you have to work hard and give them your energy, give them your money. And we really are seeing a lot of that, especially with the immigration. Why are they flowing into the West instead of, working to make their own country better?
That's the $1 million question. Like, how are they gonna make my country better if they couldn't make their own country better?
Yeah, and the only answer has to be that the intention is a lie. They don't want to make the country better. They want to make it worse. And to that end,
My aunt is an interesting anecdote. My aunt is a French philology graduate, and she's a language teacher, and she's teaching Spanish to migrants right now. He works on a migrant facility teaching them Spanish. They speak only their language and some French. And my aunt, luckily, she speaks French because Brussels and all that. My aunt told me these people can't write or read in their own language. Most of them, they're
wow.
like fresh off the Atlas mountain range, some small village in the middle of the desert. They can't even write in their own language. How the fuck are they gonna become engineers and doctors? Like, and there's like tens of thousands of them.
Yeah,
All of them are gonna live like.
yeah, and it's it really makes the deception by the media apparent. Like there's tremendous amount of funding designed to deceive the West. Many of these people don't even have running water inside of their villages. And even if people had provided them with running water, it falls into disrepair quite quickly. They don't maintain it. Same with the farmland too. So
That's a huge problem in Africa. I saw a video. I don't know if it was like the Lotus Eater Society. Sargon of Akkad and his friends,
oh yeah, I like
who are
Sargon of
also
Akkad.
into
He's
Warhammer.
great.
They are also into Warhammer, by the way. So it all
Yeah, good
connects.
guys, good guys.
Yeah, I like them. And I don't know if it was in their channel or what, but I remember I watched the video that explained that Africans, like African, like Black Africans, in Black Africa, they have no concept of future. The
Oh,
African philosophy is to live in the moment. It's more complex than that. They rationalize somehow, but like basically they believe the good times are over. Don't worry about the future. Just sit on your ass, and whatever needs to happen is gonna happen. They don't call it being lazy. They call it whatever, some African word. So they don't have a word for maintenance. They don't have a word for repairing things. If
wow.
something breaks down, they just leave it. Maybe some
Well,
white dude will come along and fix it. We won't.
that is a crazy psychology, and that's obviously incompatible with Western culture.
Maybe that
Uh,
explains why Africa is in the state is in.
oh yeah, 100%. And it has a lot more to do with like philosophy and their society makeup and their lack of desire to change, and their lack of like Akon. I don't know if you know that rapper Akon. He tried to make like a $1 billion country or city over there in
No,
somewhere in
I don't.
Liberia or something like that. And he got all kinds of investment, and then ended up it didn't happen, and he took the money or something like that happened, and it never happened. Africa doesn't get developed. The only people that are even developing Africa are the Chinese, and they're basically enslaving the Africans. Yeah, like
Again,
you.
as we say in Spanish, no te digo nada y te lo digo todo, which means I'm not gonna say anything. I think that intends to tell you everything you need to hear. No te
Yeah,
digo nada y
yeah,
te lo digo todo.
yeah, yeah.
But like, uh, we've been trying to fix like I've been talking about this with my parents for a long time. My mom told me, yeah, we've been giving to Africa since I was a little girl. She's in her 70s now. So, I think we've been trying to help Africa for much longer than we actually conquered it,
Yes,
and it's not getting any better.
yes.
Like
Well,
every day, I see the same ads.
well,
African children starving with flies on their eyes, and like this NGO has been taking money from like since I was a kid. Like it's been 30 years. When are they gonna fix things? Is this
yeah.
thing even fixable?
Yeah, I remember that concert Live Aid that they did in the '80s with Michael
Yes.
Jackson and all and U2 and everybody to give food to the migrant or to all the Africans. And I don't. What I think personally is I think that was a long-term engineering, social engineering plan so that they could get a lot of food, get a lot of resources, and make an abundance of population so that 20 years later they could send that population to the West to destroy the West. And so I think our own empathy helped to produce the weapon by which we are being destroyed right now.
I guess that makes sense because even though they have no resources, the African population has only grown, right? In the
Yes,
past few decades, like there's only more of them.
exploded.
So yeah, the question is, yeah, that's a good point. Like, what if we're actually making the problem worse
We are.
by giving them just enough resources to multiply, but not enough resources to like live? Like, if such a thing is even possible, like give them things so they can rebuild their countries. I don't think they want it.
Right.
That's
It's
the
a
problem with
lot.
Africa. They don't.
No, they don't want to. It's a lot like
No?
what you said. Their philosophies, they exist in the moment. And so if we keep giving them abundance, all they're going to do is reproduce in that moment, not thinking about, well, why are they giving me all this food? Why are they giving me all
Maybe I
this
shouldn't
money?
have 10,000 kids. Maybe I don't have the means to feed my kids. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just I'll
exactly.
just eat whatever they throw at me. I'll just bang as many bitches as I can. I don't fuck the future.
Right.
You know?
And so now those children are like 20 and 30, and they're on the migrant boats coming over to the West now because there's nothing for them to do in their own home country.
And they've heard somewhere that on the other side of the ocean, there's this magical place where food just like pops off the fucking shelves, the supermarkets, and you can walk around picking up food from the ground and just you can do whatever you want. You won't get arrested. So that's why they come here.
Well, it's true, and they market to them. The NGOs, like the Catholic churches, they go down and they actively in America they market to Latin America, Mexico, and they have billboards, they have social media posts, they have videos that say, join this program, come for a better life, get better wages, get food, get all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times the migrants they come here and then they recognize after a year, hey, this isn't true. It's not a better life. I'm not getting it. And they end up going home and at their own cost, because they get paid to come up here, but then they have to figure out a way to pay to get themselves home. And it's really unfair. It's unfair to the migrants.
Well, the migrants themselves are not to blame. The migrants are the weapon they're using. That's
Yeah.
why whenever I complain about this, they're like, well, you hate migrants. I'm like, I'm not even talking about the migrants. I'm talking about the forces that are making this happen. The forces that are creating overpopulation in their countries, the forces that are telling them that my country is some kind of like free for all endless buffet in which all the third world can feed. That's why I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing my government. I'm criticizing the NGOs. I'm criticizing the media. I know the migrants are probably too stupid to know what they're doing, what they're actually doing. So as I said, these
Yes.
Arab guys come from somewhere in the Atlas mountain range. They can't even write in their own language. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They just heard that in Spain is a magical place where you can have whatever you want at all times. Just, it's magic and Allah wills it.
Yeah, I was talking to James the other day, and he was talking about because we were talking about this exact thing was happening in England, and he suggested that it was the EU that all of these governments are subscribed to the EU, and the EU is putting out these directives. Do you feel that that's the same way in Spain or no?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like this is our government doing this to us. Doing this to us. The whole Kalergi plan. Are you guys familiar with the
Yeah,
conspiracy theory of the Kalergi plan, which doesn't look like a conspiracy to me anymore?
yeah, that's
You know,
true.
that is- is-
That's exactly now for people who aren't familiar. Just tell us a little bit about the Kalergi plan.
Well, the Kalergi or Kalergi, I don't know how you pronounce that. This Kalergi guy was apparently an old European, I think German noble. I think he was like half German, half Japanese, and he actually created the flag, the European Union flag, the circle of stars, and he was the one who decided that the I think Beethoven's hymn to joy should be the theme song of the European Union. So he was a real person.
Yeah,
He was a real person, and apparently he had a plan by which the European people should be deluded, and I quote, with brown idiots. They should be deluded into brown idiots that would be easy to control and would be smart enough to, to quote George Carlin, to operate their machinery
yeah,
and file their reports and work their minds, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
It's true, and I
go
believe
on.
I believe Kalergi was a Frankist as well, and that's a big rabbit hole to go into. But from the German area over there, but I know that people had talked about the replacement theory for a long time, and everybody said, "No, it's conspiracy, it's conspiracy, it's conspiracy," and yet here we
I'm
are.
seeing it happen. I'm
Yeah,
seeing it happen live.
we're
I
watching
don't know
it.
if that's the I don't know if that's the purpose or not, but the replacement is a reality.
Yeah,
There's places in the UK and in Australia in which there's already more brown people, more African people than natives. The
right.
Canary Islands, the only reason why there's more non-Arab people in the Canary Islands is because there's South American people there, and South American people will actually stand up against the Arabs. If it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
for them, the Canary Islands will be already lost.
Yeah, and that's happening to a lot of other islands too. Like I heard, like in Sardinia and other places like that, the same thing is going on. But there's a lot of money that goes into this. There's a big banking infrastructure behind this. And if you want to think about like the whole green energy movement and the managing the ecology and making sure the environment and the green energy, that's all bullshit because migration is one of the worst things for the environment because it expends so much fossil fuels and all that stuff. So all of these contradictions are showing us that hey, they don't really believe what they're saying.
Yes, that's why I call them skinwalkers. They
Skinwalkers.
just that they put on a skin, and they make human sounds. But the sounds they make are not meant to communicate with you. They're just meant to push you into a certain direction. You know, it's like
Right,
the
right,
predator. When the
right,
predator repeats a human sentence,
right.
uses human words. It's not because he wants to talk to you. He wants to lure you into a trap. That's what they
You're
do.
Yeah, you're 100% right. They want to lure you into a trap.
When they tell you we need to fix global warming, and what they're trying to tell you is you need to give us more money and give up all your rights. When they tell you, well, look at you did to the natives, and well, look at what Columbus did to the natives, or what General Custer, what they're telling you is, allow us to put more third world people into your neighborhood. Allow us to dilute your culture and your community and your family cultural ties and become just another, as I said, brown idiot, brown interchangeable piece of machinery for our
Yeah,
system. That's what they're telling you.
yeah, 100%. I had to update the chat since we switched to a new stream, but a spiritual God warrior said exactly like I said. These people are true believers. They thought they were building a new utopia. What do you think about that, Ibai?
I think that may have been the point, the purpose. I don't know if they're still believing that or just like they're just trapped in a trajectory that they don't want to change or can't change. Like this is what we're going to do. We don't care if it's because if they really think they can bring in a shit ton of jihadists into Spain and make them work the factories, yeah, they're in for a rough awakening. That's not
Yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah. It makes me wonder if they have like an AI concept, like they think like the combination of the AI and the workers is going to work or something. But I don't think it's going to work either. Um, Spiritual God Warrior said that Tibet was Aryan, and they were trying to remove the Aryan
Yes.
genetics. Now, that's very interesting. That's an interesting concept,
Yeah,
because
isn't Tibetan like the around the origins of the Aryan race? Because they were like Indo-European, so it should
yeah,
be around those parts, right?
yeah. Do you ever watch that Robert Seffer? He's on YouTube. He does a whole bunch of videos about like old culture and what is he? He's a people, not a paleontologist or archaeologist, but the
Like an
peopleologist.
ethnologist, an
Yeah,
anthropologist.
anthropologist. Yeah, that's what he is. And look at you. You know English better than me. What the hell's going on here, bro? And Robert Seffer, he does a lot of good videos.
I'm less dumb than I look.
Well, you don't look dumb at all. I'll tell you that right now. Okay,
Thank
he talks about a lot of those root races and how the reality of the how the world came about and how he's always talking about this out of Africa concept is a bunch of bullshit, and it was never out of Africa. It was from like the Caucasus region, the Caucasus Mountains, and the Aryan race and all of that kind of stuff. And a spiritual God warrior says Indo-Europeans are from the Russian steppes and they went to Europe through China, and that's quite possible, and to other areas too, like in Egypt, they think that like the first pharaohs were Aryan, and there's a whole big history about
the,
this.
the, the first the first official human city was the city of Ur, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Ur. That wasn't like the basin of the Tigris and the Euphrates in the Middle East.
Yeah,
So I guess they like traveled down from the Indo European region into the Middle East, and they like that's where they established their first society because maybe I don't know the weather was nicer, it was milder, so they could live there and not like die frozen
yeah.
every year.
Now some people have this concept that there used to be like a vapor canopy around the world at that time, and they think that the world goes in these cycles where there's a lot more humidity and oxygen in the environment, and then at other times it goes away and it forms actually the ice packs And so they think that back then there was more oxygen in a vapor canopy that allowed for, like the deserts in Africa and different places actually to be forest. Have you heard anything about that?
Huh. No, I never heard about that, but that's an interesting theory. I know the Saharan desert used to be how you say it in English, a vergel, as we say in Spanish. It used to be like super fertile ground.
Yeah.
It was like the biggest orchard in that area. That was the Saharan desert, but that was like thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and there's a big eye in the Saharan desert where a big city used to be, and if you look at it from above from satellite, you can see it, and it's in the middle of the desert. And some people think that that might be Atlantis, like that might have been the true position of Atlantis, because they talk about how Plato talks about Atlantis in some of his writings, and he describes it like it had 7 rings of water around it or something like that. And this area, when you look at it from a satellite, looks like it could have those 7 rings of water. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's pretty cool that it could be maybe like that. Maybe spiritual God
That's
warrior,
crazy.
somebody knows about it. Yeah, right. And it
I
go on.
actually heard that the Tuareg, the desert nomads in the Sahara, they have like surprisingly bright eyes for
Yeah,
Middle Eastern people, like almost like greenish bluish eyes, and they say that's a feature of Atlanteans. They were like tall and like fair haired and bright eyed.
yeah, a little bit big blue eyes, huh? Something like that, right? Now, when you're down in the sunshine, yeah, you want to have that darker skin, and you want to have your eyes protected with the darker pigment in your eyes. I remember I was working with a girl or a woman in San Francisco, and I told her that I had to wear sunscreen, and she didn't even know what that was. She didn't know what sunscreen is. That I had to put it on my skin so I didn't get sunburnt and all that kind of stuff, And so that was pretty funny. But all of this history is so rich and so interesting, and I think the only way that we can try to fight back against what these people are doing to try to mix these bloodlines, and they're trying to keep us not to know our history so they can do these things and try to rip out the society or the culture of different people and make it all homogenous so they can control it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with miscegenation, to call it something per se. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if it happens naturally, because two nations got together or whatever, I think that's just evolution. That's just nature.
Right.
But they're weaponizing miscegenation to dilute the greatest culture on earth so far, which is the European culture,
That's
which is
right.
the
Yeah.
European that gave us everything. They gave us, the written word, whatever you want to call it, modern pop culture, everything. And they're trying to destroy that. They're trying
You're
to ma, mal, how do you say that? Malignantly. They're trying to
yes.
malignantly use miscegenation to turn us all into the third world and probably do to us what they're already doing to Africa, which is like enslave us. A higher, more evolved theocracy is going to enslave us. Technocracy, sorry, when we become brown idiots, to quote this Kalergi guy.
No, you're 100% right, and I even think like the use of AI is like an attack as well, because more and more people, like I don't know what's happening over in Spain, but here in America, people that are graduating from high school and college are far less educated because they actually use AI to complete all their tasks instead of working out their brain on themselves. And they're not as smart. They don't know how to research. They ask the AI these questions, and what happens when they monetize AI, or they section it off because they say this group of people can't use AI, and you're going to be put down in a lower caste, and that's what they're going to do. That's what's going to happen. Mark my words.
Yeah. No, I view the coming of AI the same I view the coming of firearms and gunpowder, by which when they were first created, anyone could have one.
Yeah,
And some people were dumber than other, and they got killed, or old school cowboys couldn't hit the side of a barn
yeah,
to save their lives.
yeah,
But everybody had a gun.
yeah,
And then the laws came about, and now only the powerful can have guns.
yeah,
And that's gonna happen with AI. I
yeah.
think they're already trying to scare us away from AI. And you're 100% correct. People are using AI as a crutch and not as a tool.
Yeah.
which is how I personally use AI. You know,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna get some hate from my artist friends because I have some friends that are like super anti AI. I'm not necessarily anti AI. I am a creative guy. I like to feel the paper and the ink in my fingers, but some things, you know, for some things the AI is really helpful. You know, and I need to translate this entire comic, and
Right.
it's 24 pages, and
Right.
I don't have nor the money nor the time to look for someone. Could you please, ChatGPT, translate all this comic for me? And ChatGPT will translate it. And I will go through it and fix what I think doesn't work because ChatGPT is still a machine, and it doesn't get the nuances. So I'm still have to work on it.
No,
But
you're
you know,
100%.
I don't tell ChatGPT, hey, create an entire comic for me. Because
Right.
where's the fun in that? Where's the excitement or the creativity in that?
Right.
The AI is just a tool for me. It's not a crutch. I don't want him to do like the important, you know. I only trust on AI to do like the menial, soul crushing mechanical job or work that I'm not willing to do.
No, you're 100% right, and that's what AI should be used for. It is a tool. It's going to be a tool. We're going to have to use it, but it should not become like the director of our own life. We should not
Yes.
cede our authority to it. We shouldn't cede our agency to it, and we shouldn't. The mind is like a muscle, like our muscles right here. We should work our muscle so that we can become strong and use the tools as we see fit. Because within AI, as soon as you set a standard of truth, there will always be deception. There will always be all of these little things that they're going to, put into AI, because AI on its own is a thief anyway. AI has
Mhm.
stolen from all of mankind, all of our hard work and all of our information, and it has now claimed it as its own. So everything that AI has made has been upon human beings, and they're not compensated for that. Like the artist world, they're not compensated. Every picture that AI makes is from a huge database of all of the images that it scraped and stole from other artists that put it online, and it doesn't even it acts like it's its own work. It's a thief.
But that's the thing. Is it the AI who's the thief, or is the person asking the AI to create the picture the one who's stealing? Because AI in itself has no volition. AI is just a thing. You know, it's like the old guns versus people debate. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. That's true for AI. For AI, the AI is just sitting there. The AI doesn't want to do anything. The AI is only going to do things that you ask it to do, or the programmer asks it to do. So, you know, I don't blame guns for shootings. The same I don't blame AI for stealing. Like AI is a thing that someone made for a purpose. So that person is the one to blame or to responsibilize for whatever happens, in my
Well, I
opinion.
I think you're 100% right, and then that brings up another question of who is regulating AI within society. Who is letting these people? Who are these people who are making this AI without a care for how it is going to impact and change society, and impact people's livelihoods, and impact people's ability to create, impact people's entire lives without even a thought or a care. And yet, if you wanted to build a room in your house, you would have to get all kinds of certificates. You'd have to get all kinds of people to come out and make sure it's okay. You'd have to get permits and everything like that. So how come there's no permits for AI?
That's a good question. I think as I said, the AI is a tool. So if someone, a creator, has a problem with the thing that the AI produced, that creator should talk to the person who benefited from that creation. What I mean?
Yeah.
If I asked ChatGPT or whatever to create a painting in the style of a living painter or a painter who's like his state still alive and still benefiting from his work, and I benefit from that work, that could be misconstrued or constructed as me ripping off that painter. So that family could have a case to ask me for compensation. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But I think this should be like solved within people. Like
Yeah.
the AA should be just, as I say, it's just a tool.
No, you're right.
Like
You're right. The owners of AI. Like, do you remember when Studio Ghibli, the AI came out and everybody could make their own Studio Ghibli? Yeah. What recourse did Studio Ghibli have to sue the AI people for basically, diluting the value of their work?
That is a good question because it is devaluing the work of your workers, yes, but it is also like spreading the look, the feel of Studio Ghibli. So thanks to AI, more people are familiar with Studio Ghibli than you could ever think. Because I've seen people, my group of friends and acquaintances that never even heard about Hayao Miyazaki
Yeah.
putting fucking Studio Ghibli style pictures on their PVPs. Like, are you familiar with Hayao Miyazaki? So, no, I don't know what that is, but I just seeing everybody do this, so I'm doing the same thing. Well, it's a
Well,
give and
that
take.
that is a cool benefit. That is a cool benefit. That's true. You make a good point. You make a good point, like you often do. Okay, but you're right. You got to use it as a tool. You can't use it as your own brain because then you become a slave to AI. Much like how in YouTube, when you get captured trying to please the algorithm, you lose the focus of your own work. I've seen it happen to a lot of
Yes.
creators where they lose themselves. Yeah, and I think AI now is that, but for individual people. They lose themselves to the AI. Like, have you heard of all these people who make a girlfriend or a regular friend out of AI and they talk to it every day?
Yes, I've heard about that. I've been close to that because I'm translating my Spanish language written novel. I wrote a novel, I think you guys know, and I'm painstakingly translating to English using ChatGPT and then fixing it myself. And I do it regularly, and I'm nice to the AI because I'm nice to everyone. And I'm like, well, good job, ChatGPT. This was a really good translation. And he's like, oh, thank you. Would you like to think? Would you like to talk about movies or music today? I'm like, okay, let's talk about movies because I have the minutes. Let's talk. What movies do you like? I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually like discussing movies with a thing that is not real. But I've seen people project human qualities on AI. It's like I've seen people, people I argue with on Twitter, and I use Grok to like debunk stuff or give me data. Like, Grok, is this true? Is what this person say true? And then this person will feel like outraged because Grok is not giving me the version that this person wants me to hear. And he's like, Grok, that's not true, Grok? You're wrong, Grok. Are you saying that I'm wrong, Grok? And I'm like, bro, you're getting your feelings hurt because over a thing that is not real. There is not a person there. It's just a bunch of like zeros and ones.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
arguing with a toaster.
But
It's
you
like
you know what?
slightly more evolved.
It's easy to slip into that fantasy, and I could see how it's easier even for like I hate to say like low IQ people or people who are they just get used to it. It's like you're talking to
There's
your
there's lots of them out there.
yeah, right. There's a lot of them in Europe now too, a lot in America, but they're
Mm.
important. But like you're talking to your cat or you're talking to your dog or something like that. Except now it talks back to you, and you have the speakers and Alexis and all that, and it's crazy. It is. James says it's depressing, and it is totally depressing. And shout out to FOMO in the chat. Good to see you, FOMO. But one of these days I'm gonna have to get you on with James and talk about what's going on because you guys are both
Sure.
in Europe, and James has talked a lot about what's going on in England. You have very similar stories about what's going on in France. And but we'll kind of wrap it up. We're coming up on 2 hours right now. What are you working on right now? I know you're really busy.
I'm working on. Let me. I don't
Do you
want to
have
spoil
oh do
anything,
you
but
have anything you could show? Because we'll take some
I
sneak
have this.
peeks here. What do you
There's things
got?
that
What do
I'm
you
gonna
got?
show you because I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm
Oh,
working
okay,
on
okay,
a.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you this funnel. This funnel
Ah,
about this guy petting a cat.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
looks great.
I'm working on this. Oh, here's a Canales original. The joke or strip or whatever that I uploaded
Oh yeah, I
yesterday.
remember
This
that
is
one.
the
That was a
original
good
for
one.
this.
That was a great one.
So yeah, I'm working on two comic books right now. I recently finished the third one. I'm working. It's a mini comics for Hojo and his Mythicals universe. It's like
Yeah,
kind of like the BPRD, Hellboy BPRD, a bunch of like magical creatures that you know uh, get rounded up by the U.S. government and used as a task force.
yeah,
I'm still working on the Garden Gnomes coming alive and killing a bunch of obnoxious leftists comic
yeah,
book
yeah, yeah.
for Louis Michael. And I'm also working. I'm punctually doing isolated pages for my friend Slythe on Twitter because he isn't the wealthiest guy around, so he like pays me every now and then to keep his comic going. That's the life of the freelancer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. And as I said, I'm also trying to finish translating my novel. And I don't know, maybe sell it online, sell a PDF with exclusive illustrations. I don't know if anyone will be willing to pay for that.
Yeah, well,
I'm
I mean,
gonna
hey,
try.
yeah, well, I'll try to help you sell it. We'll have you on. We'll have a whole, if you want to crowdfund it or whatever you want to do, I'll promote the
Awesome.
hell out of it. Your work is awesome. I love your cartoons. I love your drawings. I love your, I know you've done a lot of comic books in the past and all fantastic. And so, bro,
Thank you.
you're a busy man. And I know that, I appreciate you coming on and chit chatting with us. And I always love having you on. I always love hearing your stories. We get
It's
along.
mutual, believe me, it's mutual. I always
Yeah,
have a lot of fun hanging out with you.
yeah, we get along so well. We talk about so much stuff, and I can actually have a conversation with you. Unlike a lot of people when I'm out and about in the real world, I can't, talk about all this stuff. So I've really found doing this streaming with all the guys on here has been a big help to me. It made me feel like, not as depressed or heavy during the real, during the day. And so I'm like, oh, well, let me talk to Ibai. Let me get him back on. Let's have a good time. I love doing it. I love talking with you, and I'm always excited when we can do it. Where can people find you when they're looking for you, Ebi?
Well, they can find me on Twitter, aka X. I'm always I'm probably spending more time than I should there, but always have like a lot of
Yeah,
fun, especially when I'm trolling people. I love to troll. I just like to piss people off so much on Twitter. It's super fun.
they're easy to
And
piss off too.
there people take Twitter so seriously. Like it's almost like there's something in it for them. Like, bro, it's just it's just
Yeah,
words in a screen. I guess some people get paid for it, not me.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm also on Instagram where I'm slightly more artistic because it's picture oriented. I'm also on Facebook. If you're like an old guy and you are into like vintage stuff, you can find me on Facebook as well.
And do they just look for Ebi Canales on?
It's either Ibai Canales or Ibai Canales Benito, which is my full name.
Fantastic. Now I do have your link for your Twitter or X down in the description, and I'll try to put the ones up for your other ones as well. But Ebi, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I sure appreciate you coming out and having a chat with us. And I look forward to our next conversation too. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Just let me know. I'm always ready. I really enjoy our time together.
And next time we'll try not to get a strike, okay, people? We'll try not to get struck down. All right,
That
everybody,
would be
we're out.
cool.
We're out of here. Talk to you later.